Hi, 72 Daystar here. Thought I'd choose my background. This is Middle Mountain in South Korea. And today, I guess I'm going to start with a quote. "I'm a great fan of science," said Slarty Bardfast in the highly inaccurate trilogy, A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And I wanted to start there because I'm hearing some people claiming that they're fans of science, claiming that they're supportive of science, and yet they're really not. I think that's it parallels, the people who are talking about chemtrails and stuff. They claim to be skeptics, that they're just trying to take a healthy skeptical attitude to what they hear in media and whatnot, which in a balanced way is a healthy approach to life in reality. But if they take their skepticism so far that they can't trust anyone, then it's obviously gone too far. Likewise, that's what we see with many Christians. And so for Christianity as a whole, if you were to say typify and look at the role of Christianity in the history of science, and then claim, look, it's been friendly. They've been friends of science. They've been supportive of science. I have a few exceptions with that. One of them is that if you have one of the most successful ideological coups in the history of humanity, and you take over all the political powers, and you take over all of the institutions are affected and intertwined with your ideology, then any product that society creates, you get to claim responsibility for. I don't see that as legitimate. It's like the Soviet Union takes over, and it's such a brutal dictatorship, and then any successes that come out of that may have been despite them, not because of them. However, there is, before I get to that, there is one area where I'll concede that maybe religion has been a positive. Religious institutions have been positive. Religious scholarship has been positive with respect to science. But I want to talk about some of the areas where it definitely hasn't been. And most relevant for us today is this opposition to evolution, primarily. There are other ones, but that seems to be the steady one. I mean, a lot of the religious people and some a-religious people are, say, skeptics of the efficacy of vaccines and so on. But it's that distrust of science that seems to make the ardent religious person more likely to be suspicious of scientific authorities, beyond healthy skepticism. So I wanted to mention that. I wanted to mention where in both the United States and here in South Korea, we have recently had to contend with religious groups trying to change the curriculum in science classrooms because it doesn't seem to agree with their religious beliefs. And yet I have to hear from Christians who portray Christianity as being a positive force in science. Now, what they call science, they'll say, oh, it's supportive of science. I like science. I love science. And then in the next breath or in the next conversation, they're heaping distrust on the theory of evolution. You can't claim to be a fan or even devoted in any way to science and then reject, oh, but evolution's bad science. No, then you don't understand what science is. You're saying, oh, I'm a fan of science, and then you've redefined science to make it agreeable with your ideology. That's just equivocation, and it's dishonest. You don't claim to be a fan of science and then reject science. It's just equivocation, and it's dishonest. However, I was going to concede one thing. In the history of ideas, I was familiar with the idea that because of the theology and philosophy of the Middle Ages that said, well, if this omnibenevolent and omniscient force exists in the universe, then I think we can trust our senses. Like, how do we know what we know. This goes to the basis of epistemology, and how can we know things if we can't have any certainty that the world is not in flux, or that this is just one brief window, or it's all just some dream that's been put in, that we're experiencing by way of some evil genius. And from that, some people in the history of ideas contend that this is where scientists, early scientists, sort of proto-scientists of the Renaissance and up into the Enlightenment, were able to justify their investigations. At least on an epistemological level, they could say, well, we can know this, we can be certain that the world's knowable, now let's go out and do it. Now, that may have been the case, but since then, I would really like to know how religious beliefs have contributed to scientific beliefs. So that's my request from the viewing audience, especially anyone. I think this is Christians and non-Christians alike. If you're fair-minded, you can take a look at Christianity or religions generally and say, well, look, here, this idea, this belief is either founded in religious belief and now we've verified it through science, or we've extended upon it in science, or whatnot. Just some connection. I'm really open to this. You know, if you can make any arguments at all that say how religion has helped us since that the Renaissance, where we got an epistemological basis for knowing the world. Anything at all. 72 Daystar, out.